Business Hours. Eternal Inevitable Fact. Author. Advocate Rajesh Valls. Introduction. The phrase, Jack of all trades, master of none, is relevant to the author Rajesh Valls of this book. This is because he bears plural talents. His every book subject venture is selected adequately to elaborate in particular and is intensely perpetuated by readers. Fantasy in him makes him a marvelous author. He believes exploring skilled hobbies and researches to remediate and substantiate skill is a good mean of human survival in every situation. His writes delivers a message to society that self-molding helps in avoiding turvy thoughts during turning life. He profusely contemplates his studies in a particular subject to illustrate it in form of a book and intervenes for the people as his profound obligating contribution. He believes only business a profound source of survival and a perfect idea in economics which enriches society socially and economically, providing prior vacancies, opportunities along with self-esteem. Sharing and serving without being a master in particular is evidently a distinguishing talent in him is truly admirable. Book dedication. This book is a tribute to my beloved grandfather and grandmother. Business Hours is a book in which the working hours of entrepreneurs changes due to regime. The regime's decision creates an impact on skilled workers' life. This book does not elaborate about reporting or patting of governing regime, rather it is about the factional thought revealed of skilled people on behalf. The stories mentioned in this book are true with immense emotions without hurting anybody, if resembles with anybody's life. This book would be evidentiary in motivating and getting the right track for livelihood along with self-respect for humans. This book is indirect theoretical study of inflation. It is about sharing knowledge and having inflation's prospect and its perception. The book subject is knowing source of survival not only during inflation but ensuring forever. Exploring any hobby and fundamentals of hidden skill to become a remedy and a source for survival. People through their skills can thrive their family and can certainly enrich nation's economy. Reaching to peak of conviction in regard of inflation in form of a tale is the best understandable source to endorse. Considering the systematic presentation and understanding a particular subject in relevance to make economics more easier and interesting is again a skill in itself. This book resembles the same. The most interesting is knowing from an inauthentic but a practicable person who skillfully initiates to make human survival understandable. Acknowledgement. To live a life with likes, means to enjoy good moments given by special people in making somebody luckier like me is liking. My thanks to all readers and friends who gave tremendous likes to complete this book. Well-wishers' expectations were to result this book. It wouldn't have been possible without likes, for they were the boosters in making me to write this book. My thanks to the technologies for giving likes to judge and motivate me to refer, quoting as, big steps are not to reach early but to complete one step and to take next prior step. My thanks to all readers, economists and motivators for preparing me for this venture. My thanks to the regimes for giving an opportunity to effectuate myself to know the system and explore to accept challenges to become champion in prior fields. The real economy is learned at very early age to people. But the subject is known practically and the phase is lived with people to support regime's decision. Now we are aware of economical transactions, but for me it was even to maintain cultural worship towards Goddess Lakshmi, believing in availing bliss and grace in making economical growth with hard work and good intention. So, thanks a million to this goddess and my family who kept faith in me. I thank all economists and my fellow tailors for preparing and selecting me to jack the inevitable and needful economic subject. My thanks to American Nobel laureate economist, Milton Friedman, and Indian Nobel laureate economist, Amartya Sen, for carving me to do good things for society and strengthening me to have knowledge in economics. My special thanks to the inspiring Indian economist Raghuram Rajan for motivating and making me to challenge myself to write a book on a subject which I never thought I could do, to aspire not on behalf. My million thanks to economist Dr. Kaushik Basu for making me realize the importance of education. Also, my thanks to all regular gents customers, Mr. Kadam, Mr. Khan, Mr. Agrawal, Mr. Jinha, Mr. Pawar, Mr. Nariman. Mr. Jan, Mr. Kapil, Mr. Cherawala, Mr. Das, Mr. Bhatia, Mr. Rathi, Mr. Samuel, Mr. Khurana, Mr. Shala, Mr. Sundararajan, Mr. Daruvalla, Mr. Rawat and our ladies customers Mrs. Fernandez, Mrs. Deshpande, Mrs. Desai, Mrs. Bansal, Mrs. Dikshit, Mrs. Mehta, Mrs. Singh, Mrs. Gaikwad, Mrs. Khambatta, Mrs. Bajaj, Mrs. Kapoor, Mrs. Vaswani, Mrs. Ansari, Mrs. Rinka, Mrs. Bandari, Mrs. Desada, Mrs. Chodia, Mrs. Bhosle, Mrs. Kast, Mrs. Anand, Mrs. Mutha, Mrs. Kalyani, Mrs. Kapadia, Mrs. Subramaniam and new footfall customers for making impact. We would also like to thank the members of our sister company Dollar Fashion. We call them Dollarites. Chapter starts. The sun is just about to rise. I can hear neighbors talk and sound of footwork. Buckets cheering with steel pots, along with my mother and grandmother hustling to get water from the general tap situated 10 meters apart from my house. I was partially awake when my grandfather turns on the 8 by 6 inches transistor, coated with black pod resin cover with long hanging handle. 2 rolling knobs switched to either on or off. Following vertically 2 inches below is again a rolling knob switched to tune stations. The stations were lettered under a glass strip with horizontally moving tuning bar. The curiosity to see this transistor for siblings was to see when either my grandpa or father to open this device to change battery. The radio starts to play the morning violin tune. I wake up and my mother gives me tooth powder to brush my teeth. My father is already ready to step to get some item from bakery. My elder brother and elder sister awakes following. I am 3 years old. My grandmother tells my brother and sister to be seated on the cot. She wants even me to be on cot. My home is 10 by 10 feet a single room. I stand clockwise as a 6 by 2.5 feet iron cot. On the front is a sewing machine with an iron chair with back support. A thick pillow made of waste fabrics placed on chair. This was to get the proper position while stitching. On the right is 5 by 1 feet homemade wall to have small kitchen. A small table watch placed in the hollow blunt window. A small vacant tin of milk powder inserted in wall is to get locker usage. My grandmother keeps some coins for emergency and daily expense. Every wall had 10 by 10 inches pentagonal hollow groove of having 6 inches depth space made to have case-like usage. To its left is a small 3 by 3 feet bathroom. A small window tied with homemade curtain. To its next is a iron cupboard, following was a door of home. Behind the door hanging 8-step portable ladder. The door is divided so as to open in 2 parts. To back of next door is a hanging calendar. Antique space 4 by 10 above the cot is the iron sheet roof with several vulcanized patch marks of tar. This space is emergency room when in need. My grandmother gets cow dough and applies a thin layer on the floor of room. Few minutes later she sprinkles cow urine around 4 corners of the room, for it is holy. I stand and walk on this green curd, cool, dry, nubby, uneven leveled and bagasse-like odor flow but clean in itself. We all sit to have tea served by my mother. After bath I occupy the chair and tries to imitate my grandfather how he stitches clothes. All of sudden I burst to cry looking at my left hand index finger stuck in machine. My grandfather rushes to get me out. The needle passes from my nail. Grandpa skillfully removes my finger and takes me to the toilet and asks me to urinate on the wound. I did so crying. He sprinkles turmeric powder on wound and ties with a piece of cloth. He asked me to keep my finger upwards to avoid bleeding. I did as he said. He warns me not to play with sewing machine hereafter. Today this incident happens again when I am professional. I have to do dressing myself for nobody is to rush. First aid kit kept for such incidents in my store was useful. I apply antiseptic cream and tie a small strip of cloth on my finger making it upwards having illusion as if my no more grandfather standing besides us to puff on my wound. Tears roll on my cheek. Not because of wound but the agony of missing my true blood rather than blood dripping from finger. Sewing machine is now my source of survival. Slogans on my ear. Close the shop. Close the shop. I see crowd moving with slogans raising big banner against LBT. Local body tax. Pain in my finger, mind and soul. Merchants were to agitate for taxes imposed and were asking to support them. I do not come in this tax series but ultimately was affected. This is because shopkeepers intend to charge from customers. So even I become a part in which I need to pay when I am a customer in market. So to some extent even my charge increases. But when it is beyond, it becomes exorbitant, making inflation uncertain. I was standing aloof from rest of crowd watching people agitating on street. I stood up warding my wounded finger and answering frequent question is what happened by some knowingly people. There were 2 questions about my wound in tax agitation. In fact, I was confused to tell the actual relevant answer. I answered only in regard of wound. Then also people asked me about tax. I was only able to tell the full form of LBT, which is local body tax. I go back to my store and tried taking help from Google to know more about LBT. I automatically came across some more terms right till inflation. I seated on chair and tried to divert myself from finger pain and make myself as usual busy finding answers about system. The knowledge up to is only increasing market price and taxes imposed by default by regime. So the definition of inflation I could understand as the persistent increase in the general level of prices of goods and services is known as inflation. Taxes imposed are basically to enrich economy of any nation. The discipline system intends to give other relief benefits of sustainability in business sector. Every business is initiated from the owner's skill. Establishment is because of will within any entrepreneur. Every business starts in market is requirement in sales and services. Hobbies turning into business are not apart from any successful business. In fact, the transformation into business is more at peak for them, perhaps endorsement leveling in small scale sectors. The main business in market is in regard of food, clothes and shelter. These basic needs are further carried with factors as studies, entertainment and thus reaching to common people. Back to pavilion. I take a note of things that can ensure me to become a good businessman with my selected skills. But queries regarding market and my business couldn't be avoided. So I decided to shut even my shop to support Merchants Association. Conversations and aggression seen by people made me think and elaborate something more to understand government policies. Next day morning I saw the news in regard of taxes with opinions. I hurriedly get ready to open my shop for I had to stitch some customer's order. On the way I was still thinking about yesterday's shut situation. I reached to shop in 35 minutes. I opened the shop, some or the other passing by people gave morning wishes. I did replied with mild smile. I finished with self-made 3 minutes prayers. I inserted the incense sticks in holder. I took a deep breath full of pleasant sandalwood fragrance which delighted me to start my day. Since yesterday's work off was incomplete I restart with it. While I was working melodious songs were playing on my audio player. I was nervous for not able to tranquilize myself from the closed market strategies. Secondly, I being not aware of this regarding knowledge. I decide to study such subject and make ready to understand things about government and its policies. I even understood that I can do this in particular subject only. I finished the pending work and turned to next order. Here's how I start my daily dual work. One of the basic thing I had to do was to enroll people who could listen and interact with me on this particular subject. I called my close friends to join and collab on this subject. None of my friends showed interest. I tried to list with my good customers but same negative results. I thought of leaving such idea and believing in a category from where I could get much more results. Days went on so with new governing authorities doing work as they wish, changing the market to some extent. Any change of government becomes hard because people are used with previous government. Perhaps same is happening with me, but for it was every time. I formed a group of tailors named We Tailors Association. Since marketing is another hidden talent in me, I decided to work with new unknown people. I released a press note of inviting new tailors to join my idea. I decided to get people of this particular interest. Alas, none of the reporters took interest to promote besides positive interview in regard. I knew, the day I decide to explore I am out of pond. I did it making use of social media. Secondly, Milton Friedman's statement, "Don't waste your efforts to tell people what's good for them," heard were following me. But I still continue, for I believe in duty, learned by Swami Vivekanand. I dolorously reveal, it is always fair to explore worthful for welfare. But I was not. I even knew, I will fail if I fail to appear. Nevertheless, I found 46 people, out of which only 37 confirmed to attend the interacting meeting on this interesting subject. Knowing these new people from the society was a new experience with enthusiasm to take and deliver the situations in which humans survive with accepting all feelings. I make a booking of hall by contributions by all participants. Making a booking of hall made me to analyze GST was 5 times more than our share. It was Sunday evening when we all were to express ourselves on the topic economic story. The agenda was to make ourselves ready by accepting challenges, helping and guiding each other in regard of economy, inflation and the formulation of the association. I get ready for with my white shirt and jet black trouser with a multicolored small overlapping geometric image tie. Such a dress code is my strong point, by which I become immensely confident and indulgent, showing me a disciplined, determined and a dedicated person for any venture. To give a particular impact of your preparations, presentation matters. I leave my house 2 hours before, for the venue we decided was 19 kilometers from my place. I file certain newspapers, cutting a diary with me. I reach to the hall. The watchman opens the hall for us. The hall clean, he made the banners fixed on the entrance and plain banner on wall where I pinned the newspaper cuttings for people to read. One poster of tools and tailoring accessories and sewing machine were to display. I keep my mobile and a bunch of visiting cards besides a small water bottle kept on the long rectangle shaped of my legs height shining brown table placed besides the podium. The watchman turns on the air conditioner to normal room temperature. I spray sandalwood flavored room freshener to make the whole atmosphere pleasant. I am ready to greet the participants. One by one participants entered the hall smiling, giving each other their introductions. Some forwarded their visiting cards from corridor itself. While entering the hall they moved their eyes on the banners fixed. Some went near the banner having paper cuttings pinned to read. They all seated on chairs placed just opposite the platform. I walk on the wooden platform with a squeak of my shoes on my each step. I walk towards, to take charge of the elegant podium. Since the size of hall was compact, no mic was necessary in this meeting. The ceiling was equipped with mini bulbs protruding at intervals diagonally. The light effect was making the floor twinkle at the foots of sitting participants. A small projector hanging in between the ceiling. To the left and right were air conditioners, which making the room stressless and peaceful. I started my speech with a broad smile on face and waved my palm. Hello fellow tailors. You all are the best and most appreciated artisan in clothing. Congratulations. I salute your fabulous talent for making our sector great. Your presence is not a coincidence to come in anybody's life, but it is to give and have life, in life. We here are gathered to learn and experiment ourselves for our success with a good mission. Our complaints apart, I wish to have a sober life for us. I even wish to get new ideas of survival along with self-respect for us through this program. We are the people built for society in this nation. Our skill does differ from each other, but the growth is hindered in income besides talent. The proper approach might be the reason of missing this element. Our marketing strategy is orthodoxial, which is also making tailors to suffer. Earlier tailoring was considered as the source of pride to add anybody's profile. Later the auctions has transformed people to have variety. But we the already established are heedless. This is painful and suffering, with situations making the skills not valuable. There are various artists and skilled people getting employment, business with opportunities. Why not tailors? There are so many people in the country but they do not get proper guidance. No matter which the political government, very least social plan for them, on the contrary, your livelihood sewing machine is dragged in politics. How much to tolerate? Ability to digest taunt is tentatively patience, not tolerance. The government is helpful with policies, but we are unaware. So become self-employed. Try to get opportunity that could dignify and expand you and your family. In the meantime, it is really important to change your time. Should you be away from the rightful facilities? Remember, we also suffer from the insufficient income, sickness and lack of allocations. We are not progressive, not only due to humiliation but also the start, which we missed to make for us that matter. Sometimes we do dare to start and remain still proximal with start itself. Start is a different term which do end if intended. The example in today's change in India is starting with the idea Startup India. But how can this prevail without our support, because even our skill bears to share its importance to add GDP for nation growth? Are we the spectators? Why not a general declaration for us? Are we the intruders in any regime's innovations? A couple of queries more. One of the innovative ideas to become industrialist was explored by regime conservatively. I was to approach for such, but was deprived, making me to list myself to apply for employment in prior department. I dream to provide jobs and not to do jobs, for L know my potentials and is familiar to give assurance. So as other skilled association we should also come together and try to resolve our problems and form We Tailors Association. Ironically, We Tailors Association can become a good concept in the business sector. Through this concept a mass profit can be made, which perhaps every tailor must have dreamed sometime. Associating with some intellectual tailors will give good multiple profit along with prideful right through this concept. Competition is a part of every business. We fail to compete due to lack of finance, knowledge, management and manpower. Then why to lose orders? Let us unite and explore. An initiative of association will definitely make us grow. We can make India a prime business market. Different sectors combine to give results. Then why not us? Then take a decision and prove that we are the best. Let us petition the government for our needs. With great hopes for our success, come forward and support your names to form an association. Let us first get to know each other properly. The best way to understand each other is to tell your stories, which will let us know where we stand. Our struggle has enriched our experience, but the lack of motivation to solve our problems is again a lack in ourselves. So, who will come forward to tell us how and why you are in this sector? Because we will know certain answers that will help us to succeed. Yes, please. A tailor brother stood up and said, "Brother, your story is not different from ours. We will understand more if you tell your story first." The others supported this brother's request. I was happy to get the first feedback of interaction, which gave me hope that I am here for change. I took a deep breath and took the charge of podium again. I could see some ladies sitting in the middle of the crowd. I started to speak again. Sisters and brothers, it is a great feeling to express my story, my struggle and my experiences that are similar to yours. Let our ancestors be the first icon to make us learn the sources of survival. Usually the sun starts with morning and I am here to wish you good morning, besides this being evening because every awake is morning. So, good morning. Wishes during any hours of the day signifies about being an enthusiastic qualified leader. So once again, good morning. Unanimous wishing reply with enthusiasm makes the atmosphere energetic and all participants awakes, not as if but they really awake just now. So friends, understanding certain subject in form of a story always refreshes along with vivid nostalgic memories and is adding this day a positive moment to our life, which will make us know why living is always for. Childhood stories leaves a good impact to know life better and makes us to learn things in different subjects and eventually makes us to become historical. We learn history in two forms, either study and make. Life also keeps you busy learning in different forms as per your performance. Development needs first will, and then to win it requires skills which is carried with only hard work. We have to sweat to varnish and prepare us to shine and build us to perform easily. In relevance to this, let me read my poem titled as Perform. I pull the paper, it tore in amorphous form. It shows how hasty I am. I scissor the paper, it tore in precise form. It shows how dependent I am. I pick the soaked paper, it tore in fragment form. It shows how negligent I am. I press the paper, it tore in desired form. It shows how efficient I am. So, the different aspects of skill is behavioral change which is due to learning. Every learn is not only to earn money but to make knowledge valuable. Further, the tendency to share knowledge will make you more knowledgeable. Sharing my story starts from my family. The initial interest in any work is when you are in a circle of anticipating people. For me was my family. My grandfather was intense hard worker. He found a very interesting idea to make his survival through the source he studied. He was more interested in selling his stitched clothes in a market he developed. A different class where best high-quality fabric clothes were to be sold to children. His interest for this particular product was to get fabric created by him. The idea to buy seconds. Pune city is a good market in seconds. He purchased all big-sized clothes and altered fully for children's. The clothes stitched became very much popular during those days. This idea came to him when the vendors and hawkers couldn't buy new for their children's. In those days there was less flow in ready-made. The shopkeepers used to have their units with lot of tailors to make unique products for their customers. Pouches, handbags and much more stitched by my grandmother from the waste material was a different admirable idea. My father helped to stitch them from childhood. The women's from rural were a different market established by her. To support her in stitching was carried by my father and later by my mother and elder brother. My seamstress grandmother's sales technique was in a different harsh tone but with a firm sale. She was very much confident to sell things with getting next order from market. To know the market class demand by different community for clothes were learned very early to us. The most attractive presentation of her was that she used to note measurements with hand palm along with fingers. She liked calculating accounts. She believed saving was necessary and needful for survival. The market's curious survey done by me added different knowledge to me with her. Grandfather's working hours started early morning. His keen interest made him popular for he measured and stitched clothes on behalf of children's age rather than measuring. The first icon in a person's life is their father, from whom a person becomes passionate. What is evidenced by the word, father, is understood by having fatherly blessings. The best examples are the elders from whom one learns life. Fathers are mentors who give guidance and make one strong to face any calamity. My father was religious, self-disciplined, ambitious, administrative and a luck maker for himself. His early life story is inspiring to know his interest towards life. He started working at an age when his legs couldn't reach the pedal of the sewing machine. But he managed to learn things from my grandfather and grandmother. What I noticed is that he did many things to know his deep interest. His basic need was to earn money to support his family. He kept himself busy by working and doing jobs like gluing kites and dyeing thread, bookbinding and tailoring. He believed in having an education that could be supportive by all means. He was a night school student. After his education he had a clerical job with the government. He also had a tailoring business. Sometimes his income was equal to his salary. But the income was not stable and his liabilities increased and he continued to do tailoring along with the service. He made his children like him to learn business along with education and imbibed in brain to have any skill in emergency which could become source of survival. He noticed that time changes the nature of survival, creating new options and adding experiences. Eventually, avocation always evidentiate to accomplish with pride. My mother also took keen interest to join this family business. Later, as per market and customer requirements, she started working on saris to finish with its edging called picot and adding a strip called fall, at the base of the sari to drape well. The inner slip called sari petticoats were also stitched by her. This particular product is adding long strips vertically a folded through and through belt to tie with cord on waist. Earlier most of the work in tailoring was done by hand like fixing buttons, buttonholes, invisible hems and much more. Even our family members had to do this until the machine shops were established. But again, most of the tailors could not afford it as the cost of production increased. But later, as per the time consumption and fine finish was noticed in the market, that boosted to do by machine. Here the machine took over some labor's jobs because the small finishing work disappeared from the market, ceasing outsourcing developed labor. This has created new way in saving time from such jobs. In short, robot technology started to boom in every sector. My sister's support in helping the business is admirable and courteous. She is still interested and curious to learn new things in sewing. Everyone learns differently. So is mine. My wife's sharing of embroidery knowledge is another contribution to my family business. Her avid reading has also made me knowledgeable. The right advanced examples in fashion and style have helped me in my business. My elder brother had wonderful elocution in various subjects, innovative, studious, good command of English, Hindi and Marathi languages and an artistic mind. Good handwriting along with hard-working potential. His study to select a particular product, denim, was an establishment to monopolize in tailoring service. He followed all the tricks of my grandfather to become perfect by all means. Sophistication matters for whose disciple you are. Giving a peculiar shape and bringing tailoring successfully turning into firm was his best and biggest contribution to our family. His practice to help grandmother in stitching made him a differential skilled person in city. The impact of getting more and more customers with publicity made a crowd of foreign customers. Earlier there were only the youths attracted towards denim. Hence a class of customers from various countries, as if the business was for foreign customers. The reason is Pune city is crowned in education. Many foreign students found this city to get good education as things were cheaper and easy to get all services along with accommodation and food. Now since huge fees, corruption and accommodations at peak, the foreign students find education not convenient in Pune. This is a serious issue, but the reform is not into consideration. Perhaps there is no analysis yet. The services in repairs is seen always in India. This is because the waste materials also plays a vital role for livelihood. There are numerous poor people who collect waste as plastic, glass, paper, iron, cardboard and much more that is recycled, giving wages from poor people. The demand of such waste has developed in making optimistic to have a source of survival. So, the setup established even had graced us to continue and carry forward our family business, establishing and rendering in stitching. Some of the ideas and formula taught by my father and brother regarding rectifying clothes. Later I carved myself, made different methods. The idea of different is differing from rest really works. Implementing more good service to explore our firm was carried with new concept. The basic need to expand any unit is manpower. Instead of finding good laborers, I go with contract system. Think big, grow big, and motivation received from self-analysis brought change in our services. Bigger industries to reduce their expenses by accepting contract system to waive off their responsibilities of employees. Simultaneously an indirect activity of creating option of employment in market. I implement the same. To understand, let's have an example: the automobile manufacturer. They do not make all parts of any vehicle in their own unit. They purchase most of the components from other small units who monopolize in a particular parts. The small parts as nut, bolt, bushes and much more are purchased by bigger industries. Later the assembling is done in manufacturing unit, adding their brand make. Same as with other products. The ready-made clothing do perform in a way that even they do not require a thoroughly learned labor. They get a particular thing made by different laborers and the product is finished within less time. This sort of making gives good wages to laborers and maintains the quality of their product. Imagine how many people get engaged to complete a product. Simultaneously, the same is with subcontracts. Later, marketing for such product is a different sector. Even I did the same, maintaining quality to give service to customers. Our identity and class of customers' requirement to have authentic look in their clothes altered were done with appreciation and no feeling of minor and major jobs. For some people it is difficult to understand that qualified people doing jobs not suitable to them relevantly. No job is small. Small thoughts keeps you small. Self-appreciation is must to develop anybody, I believe. Marvelous should be appreciation, not discrimination towards stern strugglers for icon effectuation. If there is a mutual understanding between governance and people, development is obvious. Here the subject diverts towards good, bad and happy governance. What is good and bad governance? In my opinion and its conception of people, good governance is when facilities are provided on the basis of basic needs. Bad governance is when terms are made on basis of imposing taxes. Happy governance is when governance is happy in itself for making any decisions and there is less oppositional reviews. These mindsets of differentiating thoughts become more peculiar due to expectations from Constitution. The group of people who desire to work for nation are political parties. Each political party have their agenda to serve for people. So the rights mentioned for the sake of nation and people are run by their ideologies. Quality of any governance to rule is with like and dislike. When there is secularism, then that group wins the heart of people by giving peace along with good wages. On this basis, when there is ill socialism, then eventually society is ruined by dominating attitude. Thus giving people its false results, making them to change the political parties. The consistency of any political party should be based on ideologies in regard of overcoming poverty and nation's development, rather not dividing people religiously. Secondly, now we can say skills are inherited in political sectors too. The trend of promoting different sources of skill is vanishing. I find less skills inherited because the insufficient income turning towards soberness by doing service in offices rather in workshops. Ironically, newcomers in skill has turned fashionable, not appreciating making any so seriously to survive. On the basis of skill, people have their names and surnames. Later the community developed and so did the identity. On the basis of their skills, they were entitled to earlier benefits from the government. Perhaps the art and that is not carried further due to progressive thinking socially and economically in options in certain. Now all the skills are turning into fashion and hobbies apart. Hobby is a quality that emphasizes the absolute interest of participation in particular. Turning towards hobby is for people are living a stressful life in this competitive world. Due to which some people's funniest try is to search for sleep. Tranquil sleep will give miscellaneous dream, not peace of mind. So, building hobbies is now trendy to learn the meaning of life. Hobbies are not penniless but lifeless. Therefore, people must turn to enriching this quality to develop skills through hobbies. There was a time when learning and earning was in process to live and perpetuate any skill. The reason is the education that has kept the next generations to work differently with high income. These new people developed was a mercy of our Constitution. The diminishing labor is therefore the reason. Everyone has to wait for their chance to progress themselves. Now a motivation is needed which would turn into a new statement like, true resolution would be to change the name today and the surname tomorrow. Everyone has freedom of choice to choose his source of survival. Education received on the basis of inherited ability with right is with pride, but later these educated people do not take interest to surrender the allotted benefits, rather they continue to do so. Secondly, when the opportunity arises again, these people are the first to avail of the right. They are the least who would generously give up their already acquired rights for others. In my opinion, instead of allowing the benefits under caste reservation, government should provide easy loan facility for people, so that they can stand on their feet. Having the communal criteria in regard to caste is making other caste to work and is probably bringing conversions rather than transition. A sister sitting on the left side of wall raises her hand manfully to understand the subject for which she is to attend. I permit her to ask her query. She said, "Brother, I am Rukhsar, can you illustrate about the word you uttered, for, mean?" I was very much impressed by her question, for her curiosity in knowing the concentration the crowd had. For me such type of interaction was much obvious for an person to make things clear what they have to say. Most speeches leave a remark of not understanding speaker. His belief carries them to go ahead as if people have understood the speech relevantly. With my keen interest in her query I replied, "So let me illustrate about how the term, for, emerges here." Remember, any good venture is always due to people. The analysis done by American President Abraham Lincoln defining democracy is in good opinion. He defines, democracy is a government, of the people, by the people and for the people. This has become the principle from where everything is favoring to people's connection. Of the people, justifies about the government formed as only of people. It is only of people's contribution which eventually is of people. Speaking about principle, for, is to those who believe in that everything is for sake and purpose. For example, the government takes any decision for people's welfare. Governing is for being graceful, is even government's duty for people for whom they are for. By the people, mentions about the group formation made is only by the people to develop and bring change. In my opinion, word, from, should be added to the example taken to understand besides, of, by, and, for, to our knowledge in regard of our discussing subject. Here the banking sector is in consideration to know economy keenly. Bank is an unit from where the transactions of money is done. It is an institute of finance, by which a prior nation can be built. This sector collects money from the people in form of saving, deposit and distributed in form of loan. The safety of money is assured by bank. It is belief of people that assumptions matters for circumstances and calamities in certain. But people still believe in banks. These institutes through its different policies competes with other institutes. About banking I could understand as they are nationalized and private. The secured money is an assurance given only by banks safely. Secondly, in some cases bank exploit people's money besides tremendous benefit in making money through money. The loan given through banks is in multiple profits by adding interest to their organization. The biggest pain of this bank is it verifies strongly for small loans rather big loans. Nations' bad people make false transactions by not paying loans. Here the loan holder is not only responsible for such deed. The authorities are tangled with corruption and genuine loan holders are not considered. Since I evidentiate to apply a loan proposal, I can tell you with courage that most of the entrepreneurs in market fail to flourish for not having enough capital. Very least are iconic, but every person's way to do business differ. I do understand the depression and happiness in corruption. Yes. In loan proposal, depression leads to either delay in progress or its disgrace leads to suicide even if loan sanctioned and bears no capacity to repay. Happiness in corruption is when the giver and acceptor enjoy loan proposal. The analyzed drawback of loans is that it is not issued to right person and the eligible person does not accept loans, for they are with heavy interest. The intention of any bank is to grow people with their prior organization. The basic growth principle for any bank is risk and return. The formality to revise is later added with pride to the creditors. This revision seems apprehensive to genuine loan holders for revising because bank formality is more. Besides, fake people proposal is just like a bubble with drama made with prior plans, but still the large loans are granted to them. Every shine is always clean, so is sight. But cannot tell about turbid mind. So the eligibility criteria to have accounts in bank is due to have dues by banks. The process to open accounts is painful, having the column to add introducer. I went to open an account in nationalized bank, which was an hassling experience. I was asked to get introducer's signature and their account number from this bank to open account. Very nasty criteria. I couldn't go forward with this formality asking the authorities to show me the first account holders introduce a signature. Without arguing further, I made the bank transactions with Cooperative Bank where I got good service waiving the nuisance criteria for me. I thank all cooperative banks through this program. The reason of differentiation and insistence to go with nationalized bank is motivating for getting good remarks. I hereby even suggest to banks to give smoother platform for new account holders. They should also divide the loan amounts to eligible applicants with least rate of interest rather a single major loan. Anytime money, ATM is in good service given by banks. Now there are so many additional services given by banks but the services are out of reach to customers. In this concentrated happy seminar one hand was raised by another brother sitting just in front of me. He said, "My name is Datta and I am very happy to attend this program." Before the topic proceeds further, even I wish to know about why we come across the corruption economy, how can banks be exploiters, why we fail to develop working hands. Brother, let all understand these topics too for redeveloping ourselves. Brilliant brother Datta, we here are not here to agitate against in particular, rather we are here to understand and make our moves to live and make living fluent. Corruption is a tendency built in human mind. It is demanding wealth, sex and service from people requesting as per their requirement. This behavior is promoting bribery from both parties. The one who gives and other who accepts. Once I had a conversation with my good customer on corruption. He said next generation cannot survive in future if they try to stop this activity. On the contrary, Prime Minister Narendra Modi revealed his thought about corruption, embossing it as genetic code which is penetrated in nerves of corrupts. His belief of implementing an idea of demonetization was the remedy to stop corruption makes vivid impacts. We the people earning by hard work cannot judge about the theories considered by regime. We here are to discuss the effects and live along to prevail or skills. On the 8th of November 2017, Prime Minister Narendra Modi told Midnight Bell on demonetization. For all Indians it was a subject to run with lot of aggressions and regrets. This modernomics was opposed by former Prime Minister Manmohan Singh, giving his opinion on gross domestic product (GDP) fall. The effect for me was I had to become generous to give credit to my customers, for the market was in short of cash. Some of the balance recovered was after a year, for the long distance customers visited my store once or twice in year. The happy moment in this credit transactions built a good relation with my customers which has graced my service to rate our service with admiration by customers itself. Our online payment service was established due to this regime's drastic decision. Since the flow of money was less in market, business went down by default. The bad moment came in our business too when we had not sufficient work to do. Since sudden online transactions were on peak, there was less stitching in town. The online sale plus the effect of demonetization literally did not provide sales in fabric shops and thus no provision of new stitching for tailors. The only option in stitching was alterations, which we specialize. Automatically the new stitching tailors diverted to do all small jobs, which eventually affected our business, creating those competitors who favored us to recommend earlier. This was obvious because the laborers in their units were sitting idle. But the concept made by us very earlier provided maximum work with least profit. Friends, here let me share the economical terms which we need to understand any business. When the overall price level decreases so that inflation rate becomes negative, it is called deflation, and decrease in the rate of inflation and not like deflation but slow down process maintaining price level of goods and services is called disinflation. So the inflation, persistent increase in the general level of prices of goods and services should be maintained in fractional form to value our business and support regime and its system. Speaking about bank again, I suggest the bank should give loans on nominal terms. Utilizing money by loan holders will generate and grow bank capital. Bankers' main term is that they need assurance of repayment. But besides genuine repaying customers available in market, they fail to connect with such good loan holders. It is hence the small deposit of domestic schemes are run by people for their personal requirements. Contributions done in group form is a wonderful idea. To have economical growth, helping each other financially is a fabulous notion. In such type of schemes, mutual understanding plays a vital role to run and maintain good relations, bonding and growing prior community. The social touch in any interest is seen in Islamic religion followers because their interest income, if any, is shared for welfare of people. So I hope you all have understood exploitation, which is only through banks. All nodded their head and some whispering sounding yes. So, speaking about the referred term, exploit, it is not only in regard of women harassment but is even related to us, I believe. Since the subject is related, I again reveal few summarized lines which will make us understand respect towards female. Title of poem is Ladies First. Bite of apple overwhelmed her with shy. Hetero honors her to reach sky. Admiration proximates her in arms of man, availing pleasure to fly. Copulation accomplishes her to ray. Accouchement brings her life's golden joy. Siblings in the form of girl and boy. Family grace to enjoy. Wonder how she is a sinner and meant to buy. Echoes never perceived for what she is to say why. Why? So back to our skill subject. To run any skilled business, initially working hands matters. It is true if workers are in short, then try should be from other relations. But in our sector, new entries are stopped because tailoring is not considered as a noble profession. In Pune, to build a team for any firm, workers are available only from other parts of city and states. This is due to localites from a diminishing from market and their children have turned into other professions. Freedom to select any source to survive cannot be imposed to generation. Secondly, working hands do increase from prior native places. But one of the concept on which work should be done is to have an conception that provisions are for prideful survival rather creating slavery. Poor people in India are always an example in humanity. Poverty leading to begging is another factor. Poor is never a beggar and beggar is never poor. Many beggars' daily income through begging is much more than a qualified person's salary. So do I favor in for begging? No, friends. Now begging has become an art from where the beggar have to convict people to avail amount rather food. Beggars lack self-assurance, hence the mindset to beg. People from rural areas have joined in this begging sectors. Due to calamities and unemployment, begging is obvious option for them. Now what is to learn from begging? Rehabilitation centers for such mindset people facing new problems every day. When it comes to humanity, we all do help some or the others. Good labor network can be built through from such people. Though it is a difficult task, but it can happen through making them helpers. Instead of giving money or food, I keep my opinion to make them do some work for them and you pay. In short, changing the word from beg to tip would bring change. If we can change either, one might bring more. Such idea is not creating slavery, but it is to bring change and obey humanity. Simultaneously, we come across some non-workers in society who do not like working. Parasites will never understand self-respect, as they depend on others or want easy money. I do not have right to convert anybody to work and prohibit their liberalization. But here I admit Lord Christ's order, if anyone does not want to work, neither let him eat. Back again, what is the role in economy of having this subject? The collection idea of having capital generated from workers can be understood. Thus, to build a healthy business, it has to be easy to have good capital from people. The share market is an example. Collecting from people and making them profitable is the basic concept in share market. This is a very different topic which is a deep study. Obsession of market value makes people more diverted towards such investment. This was disturbing. So many people still tangle them in share market to make their fortune lucky. Every successful business has their own concept to create finance within, for welfare of their company, which simultaneously benefits to their employee and customers. My firm policy do intend the same. I have made a group of customers who have supported me to run my small unit. It is great feeling giving referral annual profit sharing to them who have helped building my organization. It is now we have crossed a decade providing tailoring services and are keeping our employees busy during recessions and making customers happy. This idea comes to me after attending several marketing seminars. I launched a sister concern concept named Dollar Fashion on the basis of market we rendered in tailoring, availing new customers, calling them Dollarite. This group is differing, but now it is general, giving good service to all customers with referral income in tailoring service. Much obvious now, all customers are happy to be connected through this concept. The goodness of this innovative concept has given appreciation with admiration. I asked a young brother sitting besides the wall, "What is your name?" He replied, "My name is Altamas, please can you get the paper cutting fixed on banner?" "Oh yes," he replied and gave me the paper cutting. "Thanks brother." The paper cutting was an article in regard of concept. I want to read this for you all to know the small ideas can bring change. Can I? Yes, said all. I started to read the article from title. A New Stitch in Time, January 9, 2012. An uncommon practice in the tailor community. Rajesh Valls, a camp-based tailor, reaches out to customers through his website in a corner in the basement of Wonderland. Camp is the blink and you miss it tailoring shop owned by Rajesh Valls. Called Rajesh Tailors, this shop is where Valls has conducted his business for the last 30 years. There are other tailoring shops adjacent to his, but none have as yet taken the initiative that Valls has. He has not only set up a website Dollar Fashion to expand his alteration business, but is also training his workers to become, as he terms it, masters of their own fate. My father began this business in 1981, and then after him and my brother, I took over. Even though it was a very small enterprise, we were doing very well, financially as well as in expanding the business. But that wasn't enough. I wanted to expand further, says Valls, as he takes a break from putting a rivet on a pair of denims. After having taken over the business in the late 90s, Valls has expanded to 3 service centers within the same building complex in Camp and 1 in Pimpri Chinchwad. He started the website in 2009. Once a customer becomes a member by paying 2,000 rupees, he or she gets a unique $I card. Under the membership, the customer receives a 5% discount on alteration and a 20 to 30% discount on stitching of new clothes, he says. But that is just one of the benefits of the website, Valls points out. His basic aim is to create a direct line between the customer and the laborer, so that even the workers that he is training now can later become self-employed. In addition, we also offer insurance for clothes, where Dollar Club customers can pay 1,000 rupees and get any of their clothes, which are expensive or have a sentimental value attached to them, insured. Under this scheme, we also check the clothes for signs of damage, wear and tear, and repair them for free for customers 4 times a year, he adds. Valls' enterprise had even won him a nomination at the India Mart 2010 Leaders of Tomorrow Awards. Even getting a nomination for me was a big deal. It showed that even smaller entrepreneurs have a chance to make it big in this world, he says. His ideas are exhaustive. If an existing member of the Dollar Club brings me a new customer, then we pay him, her 500 rupees for the effort. For every new customer, we pay them. It's a win-win situation for both the parties. My business expands and the customer earns a little bit of money for his or her effort, he says as he gets back to completing his alterations in time. Thank you friends for listening. All the participants clapped as I finished the article reading. That reminds me about freedom to listen. Alas, now service centers are confined to operate only from origin, which is from Pune Camp and from Pimpri Chinchwad with my personal assistance and prior appointments. The great American economist Milton Friedman in his view immensely says about freedom to listen. Even I admit his views by considering for it is truly rightful. There are so many suppressed freedoms where revolution is must, I believe. Thought. Freedom to listen is not a new term to know but to make alert. Such thought will be graceful towards humanity. As per the constitutional amendments, some terms are considered by the influence of foreign thoughts, then the freedom to listen should be added in oblique along with freedom to express. Listening to the rights and request is the fundamental right of expression respectively in respecting sovereignty. The intense agitation is the severe step taken which evidentiates freedom to express and freedom to listen. Some of the listening is misguided or are not considered even it is rightful. So, it is necessary to believe in the Constitution. Constitution is must because it builds a healthy nation. The Constitution of India is largest constitution as compared to other countries' constitution. Though the Constitution is made with great care, it certainly needs to be amended. This shows that the Constitution is completely transparent and is flexible. But the amendment also shows the lack as time passes generation-wise. Indian Constitution even shows the ability to change and quash laws. The idea and awareness of has already started to creep in with the words, "Save the Constitution." Here again, as per the analysis done by Milton Friedman expresses his views in regard, the more the qualified majority, change is obvious. And this cannot be denied, I believe. What is qualified majority? Qualified majority is the mass of qualified people. No doubt the constitution made during freedom of India was done taking care for citizens of nation. Some missing elements can be found after making analysis proves it to be more necessary step towards making nation happy. So the manipulations done on the basis of thorough study in particular is because of qualifying people. Qualified people with its right knows what is right for nation, maintaining the respect to elder leaders who took initiative to pass and impose a rule to make India a democratic country. When the imitation is already then the further results are obvious. This thought expressed is also a right to listen for others. Some days change will take place for progress without denial. How listening is effective. Remember, every species makes it inheritance to share knowledge, thus make listen in form of teaching what is good and bad for living. So freedom to listening cannot be doubted. Even I dare to transform this expression by quoting, "You say I will listen, I say you'll listen." This reveals the expected freedom which needs to be brought up for sake, not imposing forcefully. Secondly, listening is not different quality, it is the culture accepted worldwide which everybody follows, making it as a principle since born for only and only progress. So let our regime too listen us to make India great by creating opportunity for us. Before we proceed further, let us see what we even should listen on a subject to save planet from next calamities created by humans which known as population. How can the term control can control population when the word population itself is already populated? Yes, this is true. India has already been listed to rank the largest population country in the world. It is no pride for any Indian to have this position. Despite the law imposed on population policy, some Indians still prevail to reproduce. Puberty is not legalized promptly, and certainly communal crises is also a reason of human abundance. Here it is obvious blame is on rural area, but urban area do matters for not caring and promoting awareness in prior subject. This is because the law imposed fails to have child policy and its conviction is lousy to regulate publicly. I remember an incident in regard. I congratulated one of my 26 years trainee labor, who earns rupees 300 per day in tailoring. He said it was his fourth child. Earlier I have two older sons. Third is a daughter and fourth this newly born baby boy. When I asked him about population risks, I was shocked to hear his views. I told him about the need for a child policy. He said, "Sir, even rich people have big families and many celebrities have more wives and many children. So I follow them, more the children then more is the family income." I said to him, "They are earning a lot and could have more children, or perhaps could go for a thought as no child policy schemes, or could go for child adoption. Would you still follow them?" This is the differential influence of the rich and celebrities on the poor people. Hence it is not sometimes but always celebrities are responsible in making impact. For me, the influence of the rich people and celebrities is their image. The immense dedication in making India fashionable by celebrities and rich people is indeed the best and beautiful contribution towards fashion industry. Ironically, I quote, "You are not rich unless you have a good tailor." All the participants applauded this proud statement, as if it were to add extra muscle on their body. So, to save nation for next generation in my opinion is to trace something freely, in particular from guardians revealing a thought is, wealthy guardians should be selfless, saving water, air and grains rather wealth for next generation. One of the differentiation in child is the gender. Besides acceptance and wishes, one must realize the sowing of such mindset from ages was more intense for saving kingdoms. In India now such thought is diminishing due to Free India and new policies. India is growing due to the gender equivalence. This is because women have overcome beliefs and made unbelievable things believable. The understandable example is men are learning from women, making her master in all fields. I am sure one day Indian women will list India to become icon country in all sectors to top in world. Further, apart from listening, freedom to request should also be vital to flourish. There are numerous examples of requests related to economy. The higher authorities even complains for their requests are ignored. Requests with suggestions is the reason why the request is not pure request. If you intend to request, do not give suggestions along. When you want to suggest, mention it is your pure suggestion. Here I wish to tell my teen incident when learning was interesting to me to add skill, quality and income from my learn. During my vacations I thought of learning to repair sewing machine. This is because I had already seen my father doing servicing of sewing machine when he wanted to learn more about machine functions. There was an assembling problem in a sewing machine and he took full day to resolve a challenging problem because the spare part was not available in market. He had to create a part with his efficiency to run that machine, which he had challenged himself to make him satisfy at the end with a broad smile. My interest was to learn if any easy tricks from some other professional sewing machine mechanic. This was because my father even wanted me to learn some or the other skill besides what I have learning from him. This is true because teaching does not come from only one teacher. Lessons from enemies also matters to add experience in enhancing you for any next venture. Best example learned from Ramayana is, even Lord Ram advises his brother Lakshman to listen fractional teaching from dying Ravan. Nobody could not imagine how many tools my father collected besides our profession's tools. He suggested me to learn two-wheeler repairing because it was even a demanding skill. I went to learn in Motor Academy for a week. I quit that academy for two-wheeler repair did not fascinated me because this product was never used by me. So unless anything that fascinates any interesting venture, it keeps missing any establishment and purpose. But this interesting topic even makes me to service my cycle and moped later with pride. But my hunt for time consumption and regrets was on peak. One Sunday morning on my cycle I went in a market to meet a sewing machine mechanic. I wanted to learn sewing machine repairing. I saw a mechanic wearing an oily shirt, Pant greased himself with dirt on his some parts of hands. He himself was the owner of that unit. I parked my cycle in front of his shop and wished him good morning, sir. Good morning, he replied. I said, sir, I want to learn sewing machine repairing, so would you teach me? With his big eyes not watching me from his specs looks at me from top to bottom, he waves me away saying it is difficult to learn and you cannot. Go away. Disheartened with his reply I come back home. It was difficult for me to digest. How can it be difficult unless I do not learn? No skill is difficult. Difficult is when skilled people do not intend to teach skill. On the contrary, my father makes other tailors sewing machine to pedal smoothly with comfort easily, with a part searched by my father from market exploring and anticipated with demand. Later this part was already assembled in new sewing machines, thus reducing our demands. So being kind in your business makes you more happy than earning money. One evening I was told that some of my classmates were working in a soap factory that needed workers. For me, it wasn't any different from learning. With the detailed address, I went to the factory where 4 men were sitting at the gate making new entries of workers who came with applications. I never knew that I would have to apply with an application. I asked to the concerned person, sir, can I have a pen and paper, even I have come to apply for work. That person replied, no need to apply. What is your name and age? Where do you live? I answered his questions. He looked at me for a moment and said, you can start tomorrow. The supervisor told me about the conditions in their factory. 8-hour shifts starting at 8 a.m. and ending at 4 p.m. 2 half-hour breaks for tea and lunch, and a daily wage of 16 rupees a day with 2 hours overtime at 4 rupees extra. I understood easily and entered my name in the workbook. It was my first day and I arrived 10 minutes earlier than the working time. At the entrance, I met my classmate who had started working a week before me. Meeting them did not make me realize that I was in a different circle. I entered the workshop. It was my first experience to see a huge factory from inside a big hall with high walls. The roof was so high that my chin had to give a flying kiss to the roof. Echo of all the noise inside the factory. Many workers moving here and there, doing work. I felt like an ant, working and helping on a project that kept me as busy as they were. 3 huge long tables were placed in front of a large assembly machine that made a noise like an engine. Many chairs were attached to the tables. A long conveyor belt running from the machine carried cubes of soap. I was asked to sit on one of the high chairs and the supervisor showed me how to operate the fusing machine. It wasn't difficult for me as I managed it in a few minutes after I had wrapped some soap cubes. Later they were packed into boxes. When the packing chairs were full, other workers who were late in packing were advised to make raw soap or work as helpers. After a while tea was served to all the workers. The supervisor's round to each table was threatening to the workers as he concentrated on production. Eventually, with consistency, my speed increased. After a while I had lunch. Getting hungry through hard work was a different hunger for me. This hunger taught me to live life with purpose. To be busy is to obey responsibility. Was the most fabulous lesson I ever analyzed in my work. I had seen some workers, not from Pune city, who were working overtime every day to increase their salaries, because they were dependent on their income. I worked in that factory for 2 months. The first payment I received with my sweat was unforgettable. My family was happy to receive my first payment. But this was not the first income I made in my life. Hope you guys are enjoying my story. Yes, was the reply I received, supported by everybody. One voice was raised from crowd, go ahead. I said okay. It was very early when I did a business in partnership of selling crackers with my friends. The joy in business came to us when my other friends made a partnership business in selling greeting cards, setting an example of selling skill for us. Things which we all studied were sharing, contribution, marketing, calculations, obligations, building relations and utilizing time rather wasting. The funniest example of calculation was suggested by my friend in childhood while we had a conversation on richness. He said, if the entire population lends us 1 rupee, imagine how much capital can be created. Same as population figure. All laughed in response. So as the age grows we cannot forget the old golden days of our life. More to tell you about support my father was when our first nature of business started from my mother to promote our traditional business starts from a general store making gathering new in customers. Of course, when you start doing good work, you have opponents and critics. My father took the drastic decision to open a tea shop for a while. It was a change that involved all our family members to support this never before done venture. My brother and me after school and tuitions used to serve tea to customers in market. This step was taken to learn lesson in business. Back again father continues our tailoring making new unit in manufacturing making brand for kids. Simultaneously adds new embroidery in our shop. I did learn this art when I was 10 years old. This is the most tedious job in tailoring sector. Discontinuation is when management goes wrong. Thought. We had to do what we used to do earlier. The ready-made clothes made by my father were sold in a market where weekly market was organized by the villagers. This rural market is more in farming. Farmers came to sell and buy in such market made for villagers. Here again the interest for me was to see various seeds for cultivation. This free market is never under regime supervision. There occurred grains and seeds which I have never seen before. I picked some of them, keep in my shirt and half pants pockets. I sit on the place allotted to us. My interest was to see my father convincing customers. Some clothes were sold when the customers come back verifying that our product was better than others. Not some, all were bargaining customers. The conviction about durability and firm stitching was the bottom line for our product sale. The seeds showed to my mother was having an additional knowledge given to me with fruitful gardening. I realized the efforts how farmers must be taking pains for their survivals. I pity on regime who do not understand peasants' pain and enjoy making fun making issues on their faced calamities. By the end of day market closes. Father uses the last profit technique for some items not sold during busy hours. He sells all clothes pricing with least profit. So the reward from any business is for making money, which adds unknowing contribution to family, society and nation in building economy. It is only economy which expresses people's condition. So is with Indian economy. Though the constitution drafted and implemented in India, most of the citizens fail to make advantageous. This is because the preamble is not rigidly favorable. It is flexible, making amendments as needed. In all situations, economy plays a vital role in expressing conditions of people. The basic need of citizens is on priority. In fact, preparations are never to suffer. Hence is our constitution made to have a system and have harmony in country. Amendment is the requirement is needed. The requirement comes as per people's demand. Even the Grand Master of India Dr. Babasaheb Ambedkar has expressed, education, the fourth need of humans. The provisions given to weaker class was less. I remember even I enrolled myself in the category for not able to fill fees in my school. The undersigned formality by the concerned person added thrill to me, making way to continue my education. In India there are numerous students who struggles for educating themselves. The charm of struggle has effectuated people to become grand only who believe that influence is not the ingredient of struggle. So, carry forwarding the need in regard of this appreciative thought, I suggest, marvelous should be appreciation, not discrimination towards stern strugglers for icon effectuation. Children are the next caretakers of family, nation and earth, so when it comes to morality, then it is elders' duty to give education by all means. Now speaking about the education system, mostly people run as per demand or particular knowledge. When it comes to saturation, that particular knowledge is in vain for that particular job. There are less jobs in prior education. For example, jobs are meant for graduates and degree holders doing jobs due to lack of opportunities in related education. The overflow of same education is dangerous to weak minds. Hence the suicides rates increasing. My suggestion would be to make education system with opportunities. Even I had a mindset of educating in science to have good job. But its completion couldn't provide desirable job. This experience added knowledge to me after I became degree holder. The need to have survival made me stronger with failure interviews in different fields. Finally, I made the decision to keep myself away from science background and avoided to handle apparatus which was test tube and inoculating needle. I joined tailoring sector, and this sector made me to hold scissors to cut garment and stitch clothes. So, was I weak to give up? No, I was right to get a good income source with respect and providing jobs. The biggest pain in the educational system is the donation. We cannot blame such institutions, because it is their business. But imagine the greed becomes endless and exorbitant. When it comes to freedom of right, I express, greed for knowledge is never a wise to starve, so donating education to the needy is also a duty of humanity. Thus, the preliminary history about Constitution will be effective only if minors will know initial articles in regard to expression and right of education will complete them to be educated theoretically or practically along with skill. This subject is not difficult to understand because the new generation is brilliant and uses new possibilities in economy. They prefer to use online services. Secondly, plastic money, card, is more convenient for them. Study of economy should be a compulsory subject in school for betterment of caring next generation. This is a must because the children are the future citizens who step to survive by accepting certain principles implemented by the upcoming regime of their time. Such kind of study is to prepare them to face obstacles if any in terms of financial and social issues due to regime. The development has made the mode of payment of services in two forms, free and with charge. Charge is when the work is done as per the requirement of the survivors. Free is when the same work is done free of charge. This is a self-service that is done free of charge. Basically, it is the contribution given to the previous work. If we dream of changing the nation and saving the universe, we all have to accept small things and work for it free of cost. Such a way of becoming social with helping mind is really a blessing for the nation. Help with expectations is never help. This is what I was talking about, that free labor can bring about change in society. Voluntary contribution is the beginning of any change. True donors never calculate how much they have donated, they list the donations. It is a belief that only rich people can donate. Another example of donation in relation to socialism is organ donation. There are free and paid organ donations. Organ transplantation is an easy word to understand, but the real meaning is to create new relationships. We humans love our bodies so much that we do not want them to be cut up after we die. In my opinion, we should always end up to give opportunity for next generation. To know about wealth, let me share a personal experience that is related to our discussion. Every political party in every election is convinced that their victory would solve poverty. The dream of getting rich is shown to the people, which has never come true. Will the motivation come apart then? Ironically, the verdict is not favorable either. The growth of any development is calculated in the language of percentages. This is another lesson for the regime to learn about the welfare of the people. But since most of them do not understand the study or are not able to present it on behalf of the people, the decisions are delayed. Therefore, it is our duty to choose and vote for the right representative who can serve and solve our problems. All in all, experience is important in all situations. Therefore, do not judge people by their education, but by their experience. So this is the effect of every falling regime. But ask yourself how the falling government misunderstands. Misconception is always between open and disclose. Open is opinion, not disclosure. Let me make you all understand more, which is indeed our business, to learn the depth and reach the radicals and implement principles which maintains any business. To overcome any calamities is building and maintaining relations are with neighbors. Neighborhood is a flourished close association of affection in relationship. Having good neighbors is faithful and fruitful. Neighbors are close as of to any family. They are first known special people to express happenings, sharing sorrow and happiness with gratification. Neighbors are either in from residence, commercial, state and nation. All mentioned neighbors can become good customers. To have good business, it is necessary to do business with neighbors. The initial business to start with neighbors is fruitful if done with business principles. Ironically, collapse of any new and running business is due to neighbors. Giving credits to neighbors with emotions might ruin business rather being successful. In business, credit is a facility given to any consumer by business people. As per credit terms, the credit should be for a certain period and its over period becomes a forceful recovery. Recovery from creditor done with harsh words is to maintain business. Strong recovery from neighboring or any other customer might ruin relationships as well. The fear of spoiling relations ultimately hinders business. In such situations, the only business principles can become a boon for any business person. Business with foreign is beneficial to both nations. Neighboring country are the first to enrich any business. The factors export and import are two fundamental methods of business. The initial business starts from domestic market. This is because actual valuation of your product and service can be analyzed from this source. Business failure comes from this source to those who do not believe in their product and service. Seasonal business are involuntary. Such type of business are always inspiring in market to have mass profit in short period maintaining business. The phase of duration and profit ratio varies to have stagnancy in different offerings made in business. So it is obvious that such type of businesses are differentiating. Some export products are not sold in domestic market besides its demand. Quality and value of product remarks its promotion. Simultaneously, quality in service also matters in regard of trade. Speaking about quality, I remember when I was to work as supervisor in a rubber factory. My job was to get metal visors coated with chemicals to avoid corrosion and give firm packing. My job was to make a mixture of chemicals and provide to laborers to paint visors with brush. After the drying, I was to inspect if any visors are to redone. This was the quality check-up done by the quality department for which even I was in charge. Quality is also shown by regime too. The latest quality work shown by this regime is Make in India. India is an honorable nation and is well known in global market. Due to multi-caste, it is more advantageous for nation's GDP. The reason is opportunities within making business with each other's festivals are beneficial to each other. So, such thought of business and employment becomes source of survival. The innovative idea for nation building is manufacturing. Make in India is now a good platform given to set a new start in industrial sectors. India rose to boom globally. The pride of making India is a wonderful thought revealed from the government. Earlier things were made in India, most of the products were not to export. The dream comes true only by any positive government. The pain behind such judgmental allocations is giving opportunities to citizens within country. This might be difficult to convict and avail faith because the time consumption and its process is not favorable as per speculation, but this would also create jobs too if done successfully. Second meaning of this allocation is inviting other countries to manufacture in our country, India. In India, many people mindset towards us to become genuine employee. Such mindset is a secured survival source giving their hours to master or owner. But there are numerous people examples where initiatives taken to establish business has already roared. Besides implementing such allocations, I would suggest to have prompt skill academy along with manufacturing people for creations providing loans easily. In India we have different minds due to which progress of Indians have reduced to some extent, reducing nation's economy too. Mindset to do service not business is the basic thing which people follow. Those who along with service do business are always iconic. Service minds are people who take less risk. Business people find more options and are ready to accept more risk and have more potential. Service minds no matter how much the income but still lives with expectations. Business people even in less income lives for survival and gives chance to people survive. Business people evaluate themselves with potentials. Service people evaluate themselves with salary. If the business people are paid salary, then it is in remark of firm contract. If you are an highly paid salaried person, then it is because you are valuable. In all this situation, service minds besides having potentials cannot value themselves and what they can do to give society, in which they live, is creating opportunity, emerging potentials with high income. Business minds are people who are free to do any business or do any service they like. Religious minds are people who believe doing business only in sake for religion. Such type of minds does not favor society and nation. Studying any religion becomes a thought which is neither useful to people in regard if these minds do service or business. Doing business only for self-religion will never grow economy. Even if it does, then charm of doing business and giving service is neither favorable to themselves. If this mind is favorable, then it leads to weird minds which is harmful by all means to nation. The study of any religion makes clever, building people to live life with pride. Remember, wisdom is discreet, not discriminatory. If this religious minds prevail, then ultimately it will lead to prejudicial mind. Allotments to a particular caste, gender and status are responsible to give effect, thus leads to prejudicial minds which is annoying, devastating, destroying and hindering development. So it is necessary to learn lessons from business. Every lesson is to last and no lesson is ever last. Opportunities comes in every sectors. Unless you start with any project, opportunity will never be favorable. You have to be open to avail opportunity. Learning lessons is to increase knowledge and making things happen, to prepare knowingly is opportunity. During my college days I remember even I missed to get admission for lack of funds. Some students study to have degree for status. But the knowledge which they miss is when they fail to complete their submissions in writing form. They hire to complete prior formalities. So, are such students eligible to learn? Or even if they avail degree they are away from socialism. Do I suggest to impose to have them to be socialized? No, it is morality which I need to impose scratching this subject. The terms made in our education system bury dreams of so many true eligible and desirable students. From one side it is shown to have general equivalence but when the situation takes place it does not. So what is the point of having an institution where localites are made heedless to get freedom in education who intend to learn? Eligibility criteria is wrong I suppose. Grants to such institutions are issued to sell degree then I believe. Education done on behalf of money is no education. Students who study more hours to avail thorough knowledge is education. Such responsibility taken to work more hours has become my habit to work in my prior work. Sacrificing sleep intends to grace with rewards is called overtime. Adding any income more is due to overtime. Only people with responsibility and passion can do overtime. Passion cannot become rigid unless we persuade to flood icons within us. Next, passion in working is part-time business. During my college what attracted me to learn free and suitable work was to start working from small work. Without hesitation I entered in 3-star hotel asking a job of steward. This was because I wanted some sum for my further study expenses which I knew I will need. But since the terms made by hotel were not for local people my request was denied. Now if I think of this failure I realize how can somebody predict that local people cannot work like other state workers. This is because the mindset is inbuilt in people that localites are not hard workers. But the free market developed by Pune people leaves a good remarks of their efforts taken to develop city in themselves. I am again praising Pune city because I love this city and I am serving for city people. My love towards city can be understood by an affectionate letter written to Pune city when I was apart for a while. Dear Pune, I hope my letter finds you in pink of health along with pink winter. I miss you for another 5 days, as I am in another city Akalkot. Give my best regards to the people of Pune and give a warm welcome to the guests visiting in varied places of city. Lots of love and stay tuned always. Thank you. As I finished the letter, all smiled for they had listened an outstanding and affectionating performance never before. I make the forum announcement of 20 minutes, refreshment break and carry forwarded the meet with some different questions asked by participants. I narrated, hello fellow tailors. We are going great in understanding system and regimes criteria made for us to affect our life. May I have any interesting questions if any to discuss? A senior lady holding the back of front chair in the second row stood up and introduced herself saying, hello my son. I am untapped, please elaborate designation. Why is it important and how did you change from tailor to author and from author to a lawyer? Son, we are also family-based tailor background like yours and others. Sometime I feel I am in a disgraceful business where I need to convince a lot for my talent to be valued. Do we need a prime degree to designate us? I took a deep breath. I moved my fingers on my waist inserting and ensuring my in-shirt evenly, to answer this question. I turned my eyes all around sitting participants. Yes. I do agree designation plays vital role in molding to get good results in any venture and organization. Understanding the answer of this question let me tell you that pleasure and leisure is given to us by regime. The power of any designation can be understood by one of the experiment done myself on this particular topic. Designation in form of a book is worthy to read. Yes, this happened during my leisure created due to recession in market. Sparing to research and write my first book, Missing Leaders, Revolution in Leadership. I searched my file papers to find the book launching speech. Do you all permit me to present my speech in regard to understand designation? All raised their hands saying yes, go ahead. I thanked them, picking up my written speech and started to read. Hello friends. It is my immense pleasure and a profound honor to welcome all dearest fellows for the grand book launch of Missing Leaders. Though there are many books written to motivate and understand the subject leadership, the interest comes to me after several scrubs in other subjects, not graceful to unpack. I am a very ordinary person. I was hunting to unpack in my profession. I thought of writing a knowledgeable book in tailoring. After several pages I found most of the material is already available in market. Rather, even I was in lack. I turned to write in regard of marriage. Here I found the subject selected was making me to impose burden on people and diverting to leash them unintentionally. No doubt the syllabus made ideologically is impact in itself. Unknowingly I got self-motivated in mid-age. Nevertheless, the decision to change life is unleashed only by motivation. Same happened with me. I decided to write a book on leadership. Selecting what was missing to make people realize and make them to do things beyond potential. Fetching the missing element in leadership was a great notion. Yes, the relevant is presidential designation. The analysis of human attitudes and placing them analogically to become a profound president in prior fields, especially for obscures, through a book would be prideful for any nation and organization holding inevitable obligation in humanity. Respectfully, I believe. The result came in form of Missing Leaders, Revolution in Leadership. This book is for busy people, self-published with an intention to list in best-selling, under 100 pages and effectuating new leaders. I have read somewhere, no good book is ever too long, and no bad book is ever too short. This is relevant to this book titled, Missing Leaders, which even seems to be short and to archive by readers would be a great honor, indulging me to be its author. The book subject is presidential not in regard of nation but in all fields. In this book, contributions of our regional political president and our nation's former president and international former president of America are considered for motivation and is placed wonderfully to equip the book, embossing thorough selection and nomination of prior president. This book is not a study of Indian Constitution, in which the Article 52 onwards is studied. The initial Article 52 is about presence of presidential post. Simultaneously, the presidential post matters for accountability in other organizations too. So this short book resembles the same about being presidential but in regard of human attitudes. The eligibility to become president comes from seniority or any formality. But the quality of a person should also weigh to endorse, I believe. Sometimes good messages are never found in long books. After having analysis of this book, some points were noticed to study are youth care, motivation, women empowerment, discrimination, economy, compassion, purpose of life, secularism, communal issues, prohibition of addiction, superstitions, conjugal relations, suppression, collaborating ideas of East and West, poems bearing morality, patriotism, time management, culture, contributions, inspiration, solidarity and conviction. The process to avail this book is updated online. The cost of the book varies as per country currency respectively. The module of getting discount and offers is also placed along with the order. Adding reward points is to give prompt service by the selected sources. Former President of America Barack Obama once said in his speech, "As ordinary person can do extraordinary things had touched me too. Ordinary indigent person like me reaching to ordinary person and making them extraordinary generously is motivated by him." My million thanks to the publisher and Missing Leaders book for giving an opportunity to address and substantiate me to become a marvelous author. The privilege of becoming an author of this book has graced me. I affirm to motivate failures, dreamers and those who are proximal to this book, experimenting and proclaiming to emboss this, rose resides on thorns, is really stimulating. Basically, this book is to learn, experience, implement and get results. On this basis, a phenomenal quote made myself in school life has boosted me throughout my life in all situations. Today also I cannot keep it apart on this book launch. Keep moving and keep moving. Best luck. Thank you. All clapped as I finished. I bowed for their response and said thank you. So, the importance of designation to monitor is always in right way. It is any designation from where any system can to run to give proper results. Designation makes a person responsible and responsibility comes from designation. Easy example is when children become parents and accept responsibility of father and mother is also a designation. Designation motivates in form of promotion and it is in every sector. It is the power which is to bring change in system. Our sector is also a basic need to humans, but it is not coming into system just because we develop ourselves for free market learn domestically. I suggest clothing labels to be graced too to result in making fashion more fashionable. There should be free institutes of skill from early stage in education system. Our sector is needful than any other sector because we are here to bring appreciation, not shame. It is shameful when our skilled professional people are vanishing in high profiles doing the same jobs for themselves. If this is the situation, then India is already developed country where even we will need to hire laborers from rest of the world. Speaking about my change designation, let me tell you again some more about my concept. The concept name is with purpose of getting inspired with a vision to change even our charges which would become equivalent to US currency dollar and maintain ourselves to be authentic. We did so. Indian people not only living in United States but other parts of worldwide bring their clothes for alterations on recommendation. I am sure it sounds different but this concept has scored good reviews. Every successful business has their own concept to create finance within, for welfare of their organizations which simultaneously benefits to their employee and customers. We do intend the same and made it possible with least money making but generating people in form of bank for our upcoming business ventures. This concept helped us in providing jobs in our recession, making the laborers and customers in our firm. We implemented referral income to customers in form of discount, which is now given in general to all, increasing footfall to our store. Great thing is never calculated in money but the socialization which unknowingly is done along with business makes you more accountable for in redeveloping if in need along with designation. Benefits given to dollarites through this concept are as following. 1. Academic 1-day course in tailoring. This is an interacting seminar regarding terms used in tailoring and knowledge of branded clothes. 2. Business plan. This is business opportunity given to dollarites who can do business with us. 3. Consultation in style, image. This is guidance regarding elegant look. 4. Discount and offers by our firm. This is giving seasonal discounts and offers to dollarites. 5. Investment. We undertake investment in form of advance and give good interest in form our bills made in tailoring. 6. Insurance of branded clothes. We make insurance of branded clothes by rectifying when needed. 7. Matrimonial service. We conduct monthly matrimonial seminars to build network. 8. Sales. And, please note, we sell products which are really needful to dollarites. Any skilled person has right to declare their charge if not associated with any association. The only non-relevant subject run by us is the matrimonial concept. Attached to this concept is to build a new network for our firm plus an obligation of being social. When we speak about consent, it is obvious we have to consider a married relation. We have voluntary contract marriages for upcoming generation because liabilities are increasing and the optional thoughts are emerging to resettle changing life. But our concept is for those who believe in marriage rather any decided mutual contract. Designation which I mentioned plays a vital role in fixing any marriage too. The best example I came across is when helpers were heedless in getting proposals from prior brides because in their salary slip designation, helper was mentioned. Things changed when the word helper was replaced to as production operator. Such humiliation is also towards farmers for not accepting for marriages. So, even in other fields designation matters. To understand more, the designation given to workers in any political party is to win with enthusiasm. But work done with heart should be selfless, which has to support socialism without regrets for any cause. Marriage is also one part to discuss today because it is considered as a contribution of an unmarried person towards prior nation. This is an dedication towards the task accepted for welfare if any. It is not the contribution of those who become parents without notice, rather such people increase the population which is illegitimate in the eye of law system. Nor is it the contribution of those who associate with the same sex. It is not the contribution of celibacy for not marrying. But in my opinion marriage itself is a contribution, which is a personal choice. So new laws and regulations are being implemented and recognition is being given. The subject of marriage is even meant to make you all aware of our duties to our children. In the same way, we, the professional class, are the children of the regime. Therefore, to attract the regime towards us is the reason for raising the issue of marriage. In all, for us opportunities and source of income matters. Any further topic to be discussed? A tall brother sitting in last row raised to reply. Yes, brother, I am Emmanuel the first need to know GST importance, specifically in our life. Can we discuss this topic? Thought. Oh yes, I answered. Let me share what I know. This is a new tax imposed by our regime. GST full form is Goods Service Tax. It is paid by consumer and is transferred to government. This tax came into effect from July 1, 2017. It is said that it is one tax. Implementation leaves in remark as giant and a villain tax made for people. The theory behind making such tax is explored with pride. When most of the theories are limited from foreign, so is this tax. This tax is an addition of previous tax discarding previous terms. In all, if we consider about tax implementation, then this is hyper in tax, which is paid by general people. Besides benefit to government, this tax is inflation in tax, I believe. Thought. With due respect to government, we do pay GST for our requirements. It is people's generous support to government for which this tax is implemented. Inflation is indirectly imposed in form of tax. Easy to understand, this is when even we were paying previous taxes, we are now by default made ready to pay the same with increased goods and service charge. The impact is inflation in tax made by government, in which even we are considered to take credit for nation's development. But most of the billings made are on those products which were already lying in store earlier. These minor cheats have boomed to boon for such people to revenge of demonetization business loss, with some earning in black saying even they pay GST. Thus all GST billings are honestly paid to government. Second effect in market was deemed for a while due to exorbitant tax imposed. Later this GST was reduced to some extent on request. But the actual benefit and citizens' duty was clarified when people started paying GST for their basic needs. When other service charge and goods are welcomed with increased charge, then it is difficult for tailors to increase their charge, because for us it is not permitted, I suppose. The tailoring accessories have also increased, so even we feel to increase, but customers does not admit favoring for our sector. Instead gives examples saying that tailoring is a easy job with least efforts. But my question on behalf of all tailors is that it should there be a profession called tailoring. People do not bargain on other needs, but this sector, unless we make noble, we will be deprived forever. This is the reason why the number of new tailors entering the market has been genetically reduced. It is therefore difficult to maintain this profession in upcoming years. At the same time, the effects of taxes and inflation have reduced the number of established tailors, which underline to become only the preliminary source of income for obscure people. Tailoring-related self-employed people suffer the same. GST also simplifies of having same maximum retail price, MRP, in goods in all states. But as far as service is concerned, I suggest it should not. Thought. Because it will be severe drop of economy. For instance, if same service rates are applied to any normal and demanding market, then the service people will get away from market. Let me illustrate in a better way. Same service in same city in fact varies in quality. Then if same service cannot be provided by efficient people because their expenses and quality does not resemble the same, rates quoted are as per the inputs in any business. So service will have to be away from GST in my opinion. The impact is already seen when in Pune because people from other states when come they intend to have the same stitching rates like other states as Delhi, Punjab or Calcutta, which is not possible because Pune is now expensive city. Rates varies in city to city and within states itself. On a debate on this subject I mentioned that rate fall is not competition but the need to survive because never received ever even such amount. So the state migrations automatically increasing for least development for people welfare. It was time when tailors used to go to other countries for earnings. But we are still more back to face the migrations in states. Snatching wages in each sector is rightful for survival. It is development which varies in states of our country. It is the duty of state authority to work for people and state development. The ill effect of such negligence leads to aggression and remediate in form of suicides. For farmers, suicide growth are resolvable by making people ready with any other skill besides farming. Thus the second skill source besides existing if any in earning is must to survive enriching self-esteem. Suicides are to repent government for their system running wrong. It is to divert their attention. Earlier I had mentioned request topics so even through this subject I wish to take care of the people by prior ruling government. With great hopes that this simple tax imposed to bring happiness in all skilled labor's life as at last is implemented. To understand more about GST effect I would like to deliver my concept speech to unpack on this particular discussion. Can I proceed? Yes, said all. 10th anniversary celebration, the 3rd of May 2019. Good morning. A very warm welcome to all dollarites, customers, and investors at the 10th anniversary of the ultimate tailoring service concept, Dollar Fashion. We had launched this versatile concept on 3rd May 2009 with a good mission and best vision. We are happy to inform that our concept very endure in market. We would like to thank dollarites for keeping faith in us and our concept. We also promise to enrich the concept further. The concept has given fabulous offers and services to dollarites since the concept launched. Dollarites have taken full advantage of the offers provided. This concept is blessed with new stitching, besides alteration. Our customer growth has increased. We couldn't make thorough new business, since this was again a recessionary year at intervals. Hence we had less seminars conducted in city. But we have given prompt service to all customers along with offers. Good news. Now the concept membership is not discrete. Yes, concept is general to all. All stepping in our organization are pampered, getting best of best service. Besides business delegates' views, we have received comments on our website and Google business page which has boosted us. The unknown viewer worldwide have bookmarked our website. It's really a good achievement. The best comment until now was from Google, which really made us proud. Stated as, the facts talked about inside the report are some of the best offered. Speaking about this 10th year 2019 was a severe recession year. It was due to online sales with multi-offers. Secondly, inflation, demonetization and GST implementation has even missed providing tailoring jobs for us. We were down due to less fabric sale. Thus no new stitching to those firms from where we were by default recommended. Simultaneously the laborers who were expecting wages from prior firms had less work and were sitting idle. So most of the recommended work was diverted towards with least profit. The effect was our trained laborers had to find their income source in different fields besides tailoring. This year was painful for we couldn't maintain their mindsets to be in tailoring field. Keeping them on salary was a difficult task rather daily wage. Same type of work alterations are at peak in city creating competition in certain hindering our monopoly. New and already established tailors have joined this repair sector. This is harmful to fashion, for future customized tailoring will be with less innovations. How will this industry have efficient labors in future? With great hopes we will keep our moves positively towards serve better our concept in upcoming year. Search engines in internet connections have given likes as best, genius and kudos. We promoted tailoring campaign through WhatsApp. The drafts made were admirable and knowledgeable. Top leading search engines has also certified us too. We have answered most of the queries and given online replies in regard of online fashion consultation. Saving the universe from plastics has made us to contribute and offer best cloth bags to dollarites at least rates. The never-before offer given by our firms until now has amazed and indulged crowd of Pune city by offering fabulous campaign by giving free alterations to customers in celebration of the 10th anniversary. Cheers for Denim Free Alteration Day, never before. We are mostly inspired by fashion magazines. Though fashion or style is known worldwide, people still have almost 75% dressing problems. Fashion is for impression, which vindicates inheritance of every living being to maintain culture. Back again, this concept will become one of the most effective marketing and distribution concept in the world. We know that if we can change one person's life for the better, we help a community and can change the world. We thank Dollar Fashion Concept for giving an opportunity to address you. Thank you. Be proud to be a Dollarite. Jaya Hind. All clapped in response. Apart from this opinion, it is heard that Lord Sri Ram in his opinion during Ramayana era expresses his opinion resolving his younger brother Bharat's query, said that the taxes should be like sun. This is because the sun absorbs water and moisture from the atmosphere and returns to the earth in the form of rain, which is good for the survival of every living species on earth. So taxation should be thoughtful for the welfare of people. So the innovations by our company will help the new generation to enter this tailoring sector. Brother Bashir asks about income from tailoring sector. I replied, good point brother. Income in this sector is abundant. Perhaps you can never ask anyone for money. But the actual need may have to be fully met. But hypothesis in this regard is to have knowledge for earning in their savings. Yes, financial literacy is really necessary once you start earning. Where and how much to invest or save is really necessary for earners in all sectors. So it is up to us, but for growth we really need the banking sectors to favor us, which seems to be mainly biased for tailors. I wish and intend to manipulate our banking laws for people like us. A young girl raised her hand and asked, brother, my name is Fatima, I am learning tailoring and I need to know happiness in business. How can we keep business and customers happy? I explained, giving an example of referral income, which is a hot topic making business great. So, referral income is effort income. It is to make customers happy with discounts. This is an indirect supplement given by organizer to consumer. Referring is always favorable to any business and customers. Big organizations implement such principle for diversion and motivation. We did so. In fact, in our sector the mindset of customers have become to get benefited by all means. The belief to have a free service is obvious because buyers already pay more on their purchase. So the mindset of getting offerings is making the market free is attraction. The reason to mention this subject is because people now demand certain things in complementary. If the service is giving more profit, then it can be done by those organizations who need to rebuild if any falling business, making customers happy. Our motto to maintain our identity in giving service in denim has become a need to prevail and continue our business. Showing back to certain skilled labors is due to people who do not value their art. Inheritance in certain business is not in continuation due to new generation to get quick service with quality. New generation always build any business for they intend to live along market. So not only a kind service but a quality giving service is needful to maintain any business. I believe some repairing business could have prevailed even with high rates. I need to illustrate sharing an example from our field. A regular coming young customer steps to my shop along with a friend. He demands to get his denim altered urgently. I immediately made his denim altered in some time. The friend notices the different method in alteration made was in maintaining the authentic look of denim. He said, I never knew such jobs can be done with such method. I am not in favor of alterations, for the jobs done until now by tailors were unsatisfactory. So I never even think to get things altered hereafter, instead ruining my clothes. But now Masterji, I can give you my alteration clothes to you without fear. His interest shows how the spoiling market is due to incompetence. Another brother raised his hand to know something. He said, Sir, my name is Anil and I would like to know the role of religion in our sector. Sure Anil, religious festivals are more in India than rest of the world. Clothing is one of the good source which provides opportunity to earn. All community get good source of income from each other. But the biased obligation to provide services only to certain community may bring loss to them itself. So harmonious nature mindset is always necessary to have healthy business, not only in our sector but in all sectors. India is a country where vivid religious people celebrate festivals by which seasonal business comes into existence with good profits. Further, one young lady raised her hand. Hi. My name is Tina. I am college student and tailor as well. My query is, how can we operate tailoring digitally? Thanks Tina for such advanced question. World is indeed moving in digital form. So, even we should, I believe. Many have already started and have made digitization part of their business. For instance, digital signature technology, which means electronic document. Such document is even said to be true and are authentic in nature. For instance, email or any text message through electronic apparatus. Orders and informations can be shared through such methods. Thus it is ought to welcome such method in our business as well, which may bring development in our tailoring sector. So, back to inflation topic. Inflation is more precisely understood by every middle-aged people. The immediate price difference is traced by them because their income is increased fractionally or is stable. The new generation's income is high and is affordable to them, so these people cannot understand the drastic inflation effect. When these generation get used to this existing inflation and when they reach their middle age, then they find the same as previously experienced middle-aged people. Easy to understand is when our parents make us realize and guide in regard of our expenses. So the hardest note is habitual. Go for right if you are lefty. Go for left if you are righty. This experiment will make you know the habit in which people has to survive. Unless there is expense, charm to earn is never remarkable. Hence earning matters with selected mean in regard of financial freedom. Financial freedom is a freedom in which each person has right to earn and spend. Earners and spenders are always graced with fame. Illustration is each person has right to earn is either with honor or dishonor. Honor is when his desires are strong to earn finite and infinite income. The analogical explanation in form of coin is, desire is honor of head and pleasure is tail. Earners' earning is never restricted, rather they are free to earn from any source they wish. Some people earn in less time and some prevail lifetime. Efficiency makes any earning valuable. Here the earning is distinguished in good and bad income. Good earning is doing a good job and be loyal to the prior source of earning. Bad earning is doing a bad job and be disloyal to the earning. Here in both method earn, vary in return. People are also free to do planning and plan for their earnings. Financial freedom is desirable, targets becoming truly presentable. So the maximum earned amount than others are automatically listed to record to avail fame. Earning done by ill method is dishonorable. So it is people's wish to spend. Spenders are free to spend and free to earn. Freedom to spend is never a bar but can be behind bar if not given notifications from the source they earn. The huge spenders then obviously avails fame and get notifications by means and methods they select to find pleasure along with fame. But in any case, spenders gives opportunity to earners to earn invisibly. Huge amount are in form of royalty, gratuity fund, bonus, pension, subsidy and compensation. These referred terms are the dream targets expected by every person while they live and work during their allotted tenure. One of the drawbacks of people changing jobs is due to growing expectation and are not prepared to face calamities and disloyal to their source of survival. Some hurdles in destiny are meant to ripe in particular, is understood by less people, but now even we are ripening through this program, I believe. Thought. Hello, am I right? Yes, said all. Awake in between during any speaking and hearing program is must to run the purpose of conduct. So even I was following this researched principle to keep warmth in our session. By this time I was feeling great to see each participant sitting for reason without excuse. I continue with my speech expressing an example of my firm. So friends, the changing jobs of laborers even in my firm bothered me to take charge of that person's leftover jobs. The greatest factor in fame following appreciation is availing award. Indulged with nomination and eligibility is a step of success towards hard workers. But the actual award should be for true participants. In some events awards are already declared or are given to not eligible. This is partial, making communal crises to prevail in society. Business awards are to boost small and bring new entrepreneurs in market. Every entrepreneur is the emperor of his business. Though this is true, the lack of award for me was missing to present myself to be awarded for noble cause which would have made our profession great too. Thought. The falling and rising of any entrepreneur is due to the participation. But the deprivation did not allow me to even learn the failure reasons. Here again, besides my proper formality fulfilled, I was not considered though or sector innovative in itself. But when it comes to socialism, I wish this should be done if we need change and make all skill sector great. The easy thing which a person can do for small people survivors is purchase their products or hire them without bargain for their doing such thing for survivals. But along with government, people also should have mercy on some important subjects. The recent example to get rid from plastics is a good initiative taken by all people worldwide. Here again the drastic decisions taken should have been given time providing alternative option. I did same with stitching cloth bags. The next revolution was waste fabrics were recycled. Repairs in India is one of the best source of survival in free market. But now the shape is changing towards use and throw. Thus most of the repairs are dumped. This is a sign of developing nation. Repairing in some cases is costly. Hence people prefer in buying new, rather than repairing. But the sentimental valued items become more valuable after repairing. So the modernized market has automatically started. One of latest favorite word moving in market is digitalization. So I define digital marketing is, making use of every fraction of second to market and promote any product or service is called digital marketing. Advertised carry bags which catches people's attraction to read. Signboards and social media updates are the factors of digital marketing. The example is how we all are here to promote ourselves for this particular venture, for we were all unknown to each other. This is the power of fraction, which is an inevitable fact to be denied. Fraction importance is when we calculate something accurately and count in decimal. Easy illustrative example is of petrol filling. We fill as per amount instructed and the reading in decimals with precise benefit. If we think of loss and profit in fractions, let's see with next example. Suppose below 50 paisa amount is waived or is cheated, then 0.49 paisa in multiplication is in rupees where the pump is a beneficiary. But such argument is not severe, for we people are sober and can afford this small loss. Secondly, such paisa is not in actual run but runs digitally. In big project of loans, the loan holder is sometime waived for not eligible to repay. Here the loss is bared because even banks can afford prior loss. So even if you are in a situation where you have to bear a loss for any money lent, please forget and do not regret if the amount is affordable to bear loss. This is an honest socialism from one side. Same is expected from government when the huge loss in farming category. Speaking about paisa, I remember when this paisa was valuable in market. And this is due to inflation where small figure by default are deleted from market. I wonder it can be with 50 paisa and 1 rupees later making least metal coins in currency. So with all understanding of our discussion, the conclusion is that any government is not by fate. It is brought up by the people. So selecting a proper government is of our choice. It is up to us how and which government should come to govern us. When government is more, its existence of living is like living in hell, realizing and giving hope optimistically that heaven-like government will come by people's decisions in form of vote. It is we who have to choose the right and virtual government. If we dream to have happiness, then it is must to understand that past can come in present, if intended. Present can bring future in advance, if planned. Present can remain present, if nothing done presently. So do vote and poll for society growth. Some people live with complaints, and such bothered people are responsible in bringing change. Every learn teachers to live life to roar in every aspect. Remember, the two words teach and cheat have the same alphabet to spell, but right will be to cheat, if failed to teach. So the initiative to get notifications of behavioral change in forming government is by our choice, is a grace made by our constitution. On this basis even we should intend to form an association. In my opinion, the group I wish to have should be in units. In fact, unions of skilled people will grow us independently by all means, as financially making no one jobless and thus building social status, enriching nation. So with great hopes I declare our initial meet is not over but has begun to affect for us in having our hours, tending our skills to be rightful in business sector, appealing skilled laborers to grow family, society and nation's economy. I would also like to give my views about future free new India. I am very much sure the politics in politics will face free new India movement by and only by skilled laborers if more deprived in certain interventions. In my opinion, until skilled laborers are not adulated for their skilled hands by honoring, adding by default for their contributions in market, they will be free to choose some other option. So I suggest to add designated degree as well to their selected prior source of survival without terms. Humanal would be as instance. Trade for tailor, plural for plumber, cr. for carpenter and so on before their names with no terms. Hope the society will help even our laborers to live with pride. So introducing any prior labor firstly with honor is a true respect towards efficiency. So friends, summarizing conclusion of this meet, I would lastly like to suggest about growing ourselves by more skilled working hands, getting loans along with economy nurture that can add relief and avoid basic problem as repayment. Some concepts are already running in certain community in close relations. This sort of fund creating method is an advantage to the participants who share the installment. Such concept runs with mutual self-rules and in small initiative by people itself. Besides some or the other negative impact the fund process is in contribution of being truly socialized. Creations are the best contribution towards easy to understand such concept. I wish to explain it easily. For instance, make a group of 10 participants shares in minimum amount is 1000 rupees per month, then the amount collected would be 10,000 rupees. Adding a self-made rule and interests can be added starting from 0.5 to 3%. The repayment gives a mass profit which can be distributed to each participant after the ending of term decided. Eventually a piggy bank created within. Such creations ultimately reaches to avail better than any bank. The learn from such concept teaches punctuality, honesty and thus an experience to live freely not depending on bank system. Though such concept may either run or fail would be unquestionable. But without risk nothing is to take place. Same is here. So it is the participants who can think of either to run or run away from such small finance creating concept. The repayment capacity comes from the source and method we select. The methods which we select in service and selling product should have no hazards to planet and living beings. People run after money because it is needful to survive, but sometime over needs leads to select wrong source of survival. In any case, product matters in either service and business. Products are of two types: useful product but harmful and harmful product but useful. So in this situation product made needs proper selection. Product is also of two types: actual and virtual. Actual product is when the product can be sold and purchased. Virtual is not visible but is availed in form of service. Every product is to have profit. Let's see the harm and use of any product. Products which are needful are useful, leaving impact are good product. Products related to housing, clothing, food and medical are mostly good products. But the product, if it bears adulteration affecting society, environment and is harmful, then it is a bad product. Service-giving products are needful, affecting society, environment and if harmless, then it is a good product. So even our service is a good product, and remember, it is retailers who make people celebrate their prior good moments. So at the end of this meeting, I believe we will all come to know the purpose of such meeting. Remember, this is actually the beginning. As I conclude this thoughtful gathering, I would like to end with the quote of our once upon a time tailor brother, former US President Andrew Johnson, year 1865 to 1869, "When I was a tailor, I always made a close fit and was always punctual with my customers and did a good job." Likewise, let us all try to explore our hidden potential and soon form Retailers Association. So thank you all. We all stood up. I made a U-turn from the platform and stepped down to close the meeting. Everyone shook my hand and thanked me before we left with great hope. I hurried home. As I entered, slogans in my ear, "We will win. We will win." It was breaking news on the TV channel about the upcoming elections. Elections are held in India almost every year. Though our country is democratic, the system lacks a way to control such expenditure. If such a revolution can be brought, then India can become more systematic, I believe. I hope that the "one nation, one election" policy can get the green signal smoothly, otherwise new protests may arise again, which will also affect our industry. This is how I end today and look forward to tomorrow's morning, which will bring and begin to show the potential and power of the association. Epilogue. This book is about looking at business from a different angle, because any money-related venture is due to a genuine belief that more income is only in unconstrained source, that is business. Secondly, belief in charitable work is a good idea of search in building any such venture, is another conscious belief that can be learned from this book's subject. Such study is socially bound to the society. Ironically, the notion of any conditions imposed by the government is mannered with existing and future effects. This is not a thought but a necessity of any governance for welfare. Such actions have had an impact and has tried to prepare and analyze that the skilled workers have skills to abolish if any severe conditions are implemented by the regime. The possibility that one day these free skilled laborers will unite to form a free New India movement which will work for the normalization of all situations in the future. The idea of association will give results in the coming days that can form poly-services in all skill sectors. Multi-party associations are doing good business. For example, the hotel, medical, real estate and many more are setting a good example in doing business successfully. Also, cannot even deny the formulation of political allies. In fact, this book presents the idea of uplifting skill sectors by gathering and exploring untapped potential along with sharing awareness of fundamental rights. So the Business Hours audio format book ends here. Thank you for giving your valuable time to listen this Business Hours Eternal Inevitable Fact book. Thank you very much.